Before we begin, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next part of this powerful story. This is a story that will touch your heart and remind you that sometimes, the very thing people laugh at can become your greatest strength. This is the story of Malik, a boy the world misunderstood, a boy who thought his difference was a curse until it became the reason the world remembered his name. Malik was born on a rainy Thursday in a quiet town called Willow Creek. From the very start, people noticed something different about him. When other babies cried or laughed at noise, Malik would stare at the ceiling, following the pattern of the raindrops as if he was counting them. By the time he turned 5, he could multiply numbers faster than his teacher. But he didn't talk much. He liked silence. Crowds made him uncomfortable. Loud sounds hurt his ears. His mother, Lila, loved him more than life itself, but even she sometimes worried. "Malik, baby, why don't you play with the other kids?" she'd ask softly. He would look down and whisper, "They move too fast, Mom. I like when things stay still." At school, the children called him weird. They laughed when he spoke in short, careful sentences. Malik would retreat to his corner, tracing invisible numbers on the desk with his finger, finding peace in patterns no one else could see. One afternoon, a teacher gave a math test. It was meant for older students. Malik finished it in 5 minutes. When she looked at his paper, her hands trembled. Every answer was correct, and his method was unlike anything she'd ever seen. But instead of praise, whispers filled the room. "He cheated," one boy said. "He's too quiet to be smart." That night, Malik sat by the window, counting the stars. His mother came beside him. "Why do you always count, baby?" He looked up at her, eyes glowing softly. "Because numbers never lie, Mom. People do." Lila's eyes filled with tears. She hugged him tight, whispering, "One day, Malik, the world will understand you." Years passed. Malik grew taller but quieter. He could solve problems faster than most machines, yet no one listened. Teachers said he was too odd to lead, too detached to fit in. Then one day, something happened that would change everything. The school announced a national math competition. The winner would get a full scholarship. Lila begged Malik to join. He didn't want to, but when he saw her eyes filled with hope, he nodded. The day of the contest came. The classroom was loud, full of whispers and laughter. Malik sat alone, rocking slightly in his chair, humming softly to calm his nerves. When the papers were handed out, he closed his eyes for a moment, and then his mind began to dance. Numbers flowed like music. Patterns appeared in every line. While others struggled, Malik saw answers in seconds. He finished before anyone else and placed his pencil down. The judges were stunned. When they checked his work, they couldn't believe it. Malik had solved problems meant for university students. The crowd went silent. Then someone shouted, "He's a genius." But another voice hissed, "He's just lucky. Probably memorized it." Malik didn't argue. He just smiled softly, because he knew, for the first time, someone had seen his world. That night, as Lila tucked him into bed, she whispered, "You see, Malik? I told you your difference was beautiful." But Malik couldn't sleep. Somewhere deep inside, he felt something changing, as if the numbers were leading him somewhere greater, somewhere dangerous, somewhere meant for him. After the competition, Malik became a name people whispered about. Teachers smiled at him now. Students who once ignored him tried to sit beside him. But Malik didn't understand the sudden kindness. He just nodded, stared at his notebook, and continued drawing patterns only he could read. The school principal called his mother one day. "Mrs. Lila, your son has a rare gift. A university wants to meet him." Lila's eyes filled with tears. "A university? But he's only 16. They said they've never seen anything like this before." When Malik arrived at the big city, the noise almost broke him. Cars honked. Lights flashed. People moved fast. His fingers twitched as he tried to block out the chaos. Inside the hall, important men in suits smiled at him. One leaned close and said, "You see the world differently, don't you, Malik?" He nodded quietly. "That's not a bad thing," the man whispered. "It's a power." But Malik didn't like how the man's eyes looked. Too sharp, too curious. Back home, Malik's fame spread. News stations came. Cameras flashed. People cheered for the boy who could solve anything. But no one saw how he rocked back and forth at night, whispering numbers to calm himself. His mother tried to protect him, but the world was too loud now. Then came the first strange event. One evening, while Malik was drawing numbers on the wall, He stopped suddenly. "Mom," he whispered, "there's going to be a blackout." Lila frowned. "What do you mean?" He pointed to the pattern he'd drawn. "The city's power. The system's wrong. It'll crash." That night, at exactly 9:45 p.m., the city went dark. Every street, every house. The news called it a surprise technical failure. Lila just stared at her son in silence. Weeks later, government agents came to visit. They said Malik's talent could help them prevent disasters. They gave him screens full of data, endless numbers, codes, and systems. Malik understood them all. It was like watching the heartbeat of the world. But one night, while working, he saw something that didn't make sense. Numbers that pointed not to safety, but danger. He realized they weren't preventing disasters, they were creating them. He told his mother, "They're using me, Mom. The patterns, they're not real. They're hiding something." She grabbed his hand. "Then stop working for them, baby." "I can't," he said, his voice shaking. "If I stop, people could die." Tears rolled down Lila's face. Malik looked into her eyes and said softly, "I see everything now, Mom. The world runs in numbers, but people run on lies." That night, Malik made a choice that would change his life. He wrote down the codes he found, every secret number they hid, and kept them inside a notebook under his bed. He didn't know that someone was already watching him. The next morning, a black car waited outside their house. Two men stepped out, tall and quiet. One smiled coldly. "Malik," he said, "we'd like to talk." Lila's heart froze. She stood in front of her son. "He's not going anywhere." The man leaned closer. "Mrs. Lila, we just want to help him reach his potential." But Malik's mind was already spinning. He could see the numbers in the air again. They danced and twisted into a pattern of danger. He whispered to himself, 3, 2, 1. A sound echoed. A car alarm went off across the street. The men turned their heads. Malik grabbed his mother's hand. "Run, Mom." They ran barefoot down the alley as rain began to fall. The sound of thunder covered their footsteps. Malik's heartbeat was louder than the storm. That night, soaked and shivering under a broken bridge, Lila held him close. "What have you gotten into, Malik?" He whispered. "I just wanted to help. But the numbers, they showed me too much." Somewhere far away, the men in the black car spoke into a phone. "He knows," one said. "Then bring him in." The voice on the other side replied coldly, "No matter what it takes." They spent the night in an old bus station. The floor was cold, and the air smelled like rain and oil. Malik sat on a bench, watching the flickering lights above them. Each flash followed a rhythm, 3 short blinks, 1 long. His fingers tapped the same beat on his leg. "Mom," he whispered, "the lights are sending a message." Lila looked up. "It's just broken, baby." He shook his head. "No, it's code. It's saying safe." The next morning, a quiet man who cleaned the station found them. His name was Ben. He was kind, with tired eyes and a slow voice. "You two look like you need a place to rest," he said. He gave them bread and warm tea. Malik smiled for the first time in days. Ben worked nights, fixing old machines. Malik helped him. He could look at a circuit board and know what wire was wrong. "You got a head full of lightning," Ben said once. Malik liked that. He stayed quiet, but listened to the hum of the engines. Each sound was a number, and every number was alive. One evening, Malik saw a pattern in the machine lights that made him freeze. He grabbed Ben's hand. "Something bad is coming." "How do you know?" Ben asked. "I can feel it in the numbers." A week later, heavy rain hit the city. The power lines near the bus station began to spark. Malik ran outside and shouted, "Turn off the main switch." Ben didn't question him. They pulled the lever, and seconds later lightning struck the transformer. The city shook, but the bus station stayed safe. People said it was luck. Ben said it was Malik. News spread again. The boy who saw patterns had saved a part of the city from burning. Reporters searched for him, but Ben helped them move to a small town by the river. Lila washed clothes for people. Malik stayed inside most days, watching the water flow. He began to notice that the waves spoke in numbers too. Soft, endless numbers that told stories. He wrote them down in his notebook. Sometimes, he smiled. Other times, he cried without knowing why. One afternoon, a girl named Ava came to deliver laundry money. She was kind and curious about Malik's age. "Why do you always write numbers?" she asked. "They talk to me," he said simply. "What do they say?" He thought for a moment. "They tell me what's hidden. They keep secrets safe." Ava didn't laugh like others. She nodded. Maybe you're meant to find what others lose. Days turned into weeks. Malik started walking by the river with Ava. She liked to ask him riddles. He liked to answer with numbers. One day she told him, "You don't need to hide forever." Malik looked at the sky. "But if they find me, Mom will be scared again." Ava smiled softly. "Then maybe you just need to show the world why they shouldn't be." Her words stayed in his head all night. He couldn't sleep. He saw patterns in the moonlight, and they formed a sentence he didn't understand yet. To be free, you must be seen. He wrote it in his notebook, underlining it 3 times. He didn't know it yet, but those words were going to change everything, again. The message in the moonlight stayed in Malik's heart. To be free, you must be seen. He began walking through the town again. When people's machines broke, he offered to fix them. When numbers confused shopkeepers, he helped them find what was missing. He never asked for money. He only smiled when people said thank you. Word spread about the quiet young man who could see what others missed. One afternoon, a letter arrived. It came from the same university that once tested him. They had heard about his work and wanted him to speak at a science fair for children. Lila hesitated. "Are you sure you want to go back, baby?" Malik nodded. "I think it's time." At the fair, the lights were bright and the crowd was big, but he didn't cover his ears this time. He stood on the stage, notebook in hand. The hall fell silent. He looked at all the children watching him and said slowly, "When I was little, people called me strange. I didn't understand them, and they didn't understand me. But numbers spoke to me. They still do. Numbers help me save people, fix things, and find peace." He paused, looking at a small boy sitting in the front row, rocking just like he used to. Malik smiled. "You don't have to change to be special," he continued. "Sometimes, what makes you different is the key the world needs." When he finished, the room was quiet for a long moment. Then everyone stood and clapped. Lila wiped her eyes. Ben was there too, smiling proudly. Ava recorded the moment on her phone, whispering, "See? The world finally saw you." That night, Malik sat by the window of their little house by the river. The moonlight shone on his notebook. He opened it and wrote one last line under all the numbers. "The world is full of patterns. Love is the only one that never breaks." He closed the book and smiled. For the first time in his life, the numbers were quiet, and so was his heart. Malik's story teaches us something powerful and true, that being different is not a weakness. It's a gift the world hasn't learned to understand yet. He showed us that silence can hold wisdom, that patience can build strength, and that the mind that sees the world differently can bring light where others see confusion. Malik didn't need to be like everyone else to matter. He only needed to be himself, gentle, brave, and full of wonder. Your difference is your strength. When you stop hiding who you are, the world will finally see the magic you've been carrying all along. So, never be ashamed of what sets you apart. Like Malik, let your light shine, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Because sometimes, the thing that makes us different is the very thing that makes us unforgettable.